Hi, this is Cheryl McQueen, designer with Bello's Designs. Today I'll be presenting a video tutorial on making a greeting card using the Lavinia Indra moth and a background made by dabbing ink. Here is the card that we will be making today. This is a little bit of a back to basics card using the dabbing ink background technique. This is great for beginners. I know we have a lot of new members on the Bello's Facebook page, and so I'm hoping that this will be something that the beginner might enjoy doing. That's pretty a quick and easy card to make. So here are the supplies that we're going to be using today. We'll be using the Lavinia Multifarious Smooth and Supreme A6 cardstock. This piece of cardstock we will then cut down to be 4 3/4 inches by 3.5 inches. For a frame, we will use a piece of dark blue cardstock that we will cut to 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And then for our card base, we will be using a purple piece of cardstock. This has been cut to 8.5 by 5.5 and then folded in half. The inks that we will be using today will be Distress inks. We're going to be using Faded Jeans, Dusty Concord, and Wilted Violet. For our stamping ink, we're going to use the VersaFine Clair Nocturne. For our stamps today, we are going to use the Lavinia Indra Butterfly. This one is LAV 499. For my sentiment, I have a set of stamps that I had bought, I believe at Hobby Lobby, and the stamp that we're going to use today is Sending Butterfly Wishes. We will use a heat tool to help us with drying our inks as we're applying them. I have the Ranger Heated Craft Tool, but any embossing tool will work. When we start to put our card together, we will use the Ultra Adhesive Bond, and we will finish our project off with some rhinestones just to give it a little bit of a touch of sparkle there. I'll also be using the Tim Holtz stamping platform on the Bello's Designs website. You can find the Misty, which is a great stamping platform as well. So let's get started making our card. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is start out by making our background. So we will be taking our white piece of cardstock and we will be dabbing it onto our ink. So I've cleared a little space here. Let me scoot this over just a little bit so you can see it a little clearer. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking my ink and I'm going to put it down on the surface of my glass work table. So I'm just going to put just a little bit of ink down. You can either do one color at a time, or you can go ahead and put a little bit of your inks down all at one time. So we're going to start out with the Wilted Violet. And I'm just going to spritz a little bit of water on that. You can see that the colors start to run just a little bit. So I'm basically, on this technique, just taking my card and dabbing it into the ink. Just to kind of get it a little bit on the surface of the card. Now, in between each color, I'm going to go ahead and dry with my heat gun. This keeps the colors separate and helps keep them from running into each other. If you get them where they're all wet and you just layer them one on top of the other without drying in between, you'll start getting your colors to look a little bit muddy. So now let's go ahead and do our Dusty Concord. And same process, just dipping and dabbing in different spots. If you don't like some of these dark spots, you can always dab them up and then they won't be quite so dark. Or you can leave them if you like them. Your card starts to curl, just turn it over on the back side and that will help it to uncurl. Alright, so now let's move over here to our blue. Missed some on that. And once again, we're doing the same process where we're just dabbing our card. You can dab it, you can rub it if you'd like to, however you'd like to work on getting your ink on your card. And you just keep working until you're satisfied with the way your background looks. There's no wrong, there's no incorrect way to do this. Just, you can stop where you like it. Keep adding more color if you like to. I generally like to stick to 3 colors, but you can do more. Just be, like I said, be very careful that you don't add them too much on top of each other so that your colors get a little bit muddy. Okay, so let's go ahead and put just a little bit more wilted violet. Let's spritz that. And I'll dab a little bit. In some different places here on the card. And dry that up. Oops. And I'm actually pretty satisfied with that one. I may put just a little bit of color on the very top corner there. All right. So now that we've got our background completed, we can move on to doing the stamping. I'm going to go ahead and clean off my surface here because I don't want to lay my elbow down on it. Alright, we can scoot our board back over. Alright, so now we can do our stamping. So I've got my stamping platform here. I have a sticky grid on it. This helps me to not have to worry about magnets and picking the magnets up and moving them around as I move my stamp around or use different stamps. So I like to use this technique. Patty Del Bello's taught this on a tutorial that you can find on the design team page if you'd like to see how to do this. Now what I also am going to do is put some scrap paper around the edges because I don't want to get my ink on to my sticky grid. So I'm just going to take a few pieces of scrap paper and line them up around the edges. That keeps my work surface just a little bit cleaner. So now I will take my Indra butterfly and place it where I'd like it to go. And I'm going to leave some space up here at the top for my sentiment. I'm going to go ahead and move my background inks out of the way since I won't need them. And we will get the VersaFine Claire Nocturne and stamp up, ink up our stamp here. One of the reasons I really like using the stamping platform, especially with these larger stamps and with stamps that have a lot of solid surface, is that I like to get a really good, clean, crisp image. So if my first stamping doesn't get me a good, crisp image on there, then I can always stamp it a second time and to know that it will go back into the exact same spot. So we're going to close our lid and apply some pressure to make sure that the stamp, the entire stamp, makes contact with the paper. So we don't have any blank spots. And then I'll put a little extra pressure right where his body is, because that is a nice thick solid spot. Alright, so I do think it's got just a little bit of not as solid a place on it as I would like. It looks like I got some ink over here. Let me wipe that up real quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and re-ink the butterfly and see if I can't get just a little bit crisper image, especially in the center where his body is. Alright, let's see if that will do for us. And if you let it sit for just a moment or two, then that gives the paper an opportunity to absorb the ink as well. Alright, so I think we got a nice image there. So I'm going to go ahead and clean my stamp up with a baby wipe immediately so that it doesn't get stained. We'll obviously get a little bit of residue from using your stamps, but if you wipe them and clean immediately with a baby wipe, then they won't get quite as stained up. So we will now remove this stamp and go on to our sentiment. The one that I've got is the Sending Butterfly Wishes. And I'm just going to place that up at the top in that clear space. Make sure that that's stuck down good. Line that up where I'd like for it to be. And close our lid. Again, using our VersaFine Clair Nocturne. Get our stamp inked up. And close the door. And again, if the image isn't as clear as I'd like for it to be, I can always re-ink the stamp and do it again. Oh, that looks very nice. And now we can remove our image, our base card, our art card here from the platform, and move our platform out of the way. So as you can see, that really didn't take much time and was very basic and very fun to do. Now let's go ahead and put our card together. So to do that, we're going to take first our frame that we're going to mount our card on. So we will take a little bit of the Ultra bond adhesive. And just put it a little bit. I may not have got it cleared out enough. Let me grab a pen real quick. Just make sure that that glue is cleared out. And my nozzle is open. Well, there we go. See if that's going to work for me now. And I don't get all the way, oops, and that's one reason. I don't get all the way close to the edge because I don't want it squirting out. So I'm just going to take this, spread it around a little bit, staying away from the edges if I can, because as I lay it on the card and press down, then the glue is going to spread a little bit. The great thing though about this is that if your glue does spread out beyond the edges, this is dries clear, so you can't see it. All right. Also, you have just a minute or two that you can scooch if you need to before it dries. I'm going to take a clean paper towel and just go around my edges to make sure that I'm getting a good adhesion. Alright, and now we are ready to go ahead and mount our card onto the card background. Alright, so we can do the same process. So we will take this and place it on to the cardstock for our card. And make sure that it's adhered on there. All right. You might want to wipe off the tip of your glue. Clear out the inside just a little bit so that you don't have to worry about the nozzle being stopped up next time that you want to use it. Alright, and so you can leave it like this if you'd like to, but I think I want to add just a little bit of sparkle. So I'm going to take some rhinestones and just place them in a few places on the card to kind of give him a little bit of a punch. So just find a couple little places. To add a few rhinestones here. Okay. Put one on his other wing. Oops. These are self-adhesive, which is nice, but if you find out that they don't have quite enough adhesive on them, that's the nice thing about this, is that you've got a very teeny tiny little nozzle there that you can add a little just drop, and it will hopefully then not scooch out all over the edges, because you can get a very tiny fine little drop. But if you've got the self-adhesive little rhinestones that work really well, then you don't have to worry about using a separate glue. Alright, go ahead and put a little bit of a glitter on his antennas there. And then maybe go ahead and add some just up there on his wings where some of these dots are, just to give him a hint of a sparkle. And then as a kind of a final finishing touch, we can put just a few rhinestones in the corners of the card. And that'll give it just a little bit of a sparkle as well. So we'll take one of these and put it in each of the corners. And now our card is finished. So as you can see, this was actually a very quick and fun, easy card to do. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and that you'll take an opportunity to do the dabbing technique with the ink and give it a try. Thank you so much for watching my video tutorial today, and be sure to check out the bellosdesigns.com website for more tutorials on the design team page. Have a great day.